We're getting now to the very important part of this conversation. And we have decided that it's going to be an open engagement with the audience. So our panelists are going to start by just giving an overview of funding and ESD support in their environment, and then we're going to open it up, and then I'll come back to close back the discussion. So starting with you, Mr. Modise.
Thank you very much. I had a privilege of running an ESD program for one of the large corporations in South Africa. And I see one of or two of our beneficiaries here. And what I would like to emphasize just as an opening is the importance of understanding an ESD program that you are in. If you have applied and been appointed into an ESD program, understand what the company is trying to achieve and not necessarily your own intentions and objectives as a corporation or as an SME. Understand what is it that they are actually trying to achieve in terms of their net profit after tax. A lot of SMEs are shy to ask that question. And in most instances, we are all aware that BE is not a fancy term or something that corporations like. They actually trying to just tick the box out there. And in most instances, they are not likely to make the necessary means and steps to make sure that you are actually properly empowered. And I always say, take it upon yourself as an SME to empower yourself with the knowledge and the objectives and the strategy that the company that you're working with, so that you can then take advantage of the initiatives and the benefits that comes with being a partner or in that particular corporation. Thank you.
Thank you so much and good morning. I think it's still the morning to everybody in the room. A big thank you to WeTech Africa and Connector for the invite and giving Innovator Trust an opportunity to contribute to this amazing day. I do want to quickly just introduce myself. I am Mandisa Mpeko, the Enterprise and Supplier Development at Innovator Trust. Interestingly enough, it is my last week as a Supplier Development Manager. My beneficiaries were so shocked. So at Innovator Trust, we are an incubation agency. We implement and execute enterprise and supplier development programs, also youth entrepreneurship programs and accelerator programs. We are mandated to support ICT SMEs across the country. And one of our biggest drivers is that we need to ensure that each company that comes into our doors walks out a lot better, walks out empowered, or walks out a lot more sustainable and not so dependent on an ESD house or a specific client. However, I don't want to take for granted that everybody actually knows what ESD is. Is there anybody that does not know? Okay, cool. I want to make an example. Bumi, I'm going to pick on you. Yes, so Mpumi over here is the owner of Synergy Trading and Projects and one of our top performing SMEs at the Innovator Trust. When Mpumi was first introduced to us, she joined our Hatch incubation program, which is Enterprise Development. However, after completing and graduating as a top performing entity, and we rate top performing, checking your revenue, checking your job creation and so forth, she is now a supplier development beneficiary because she graduated to then be on the supply chain of our sponsor, corporate sponsors. If Mpumi had walked into our doors while existing on our corporate sponsors' supply chain, she would not have qualified for enterprise development. She would have rather qualified for supplier development. I think that kind of gives a picture of what is the difference. Can I leave that there?
Pick on Mpumi, just to explain to us her journey. I think it's going to be quite empowering for some of us in the room, just for you to just share a little bit of your journey.
With Innovator Trust? Yes. Okay, gosh. Put on the spot, but yeah. So my journey, specifically talking around, Innovator Trust and what they've done for me. I walked into their doors, I think this was in 2020. One of the requirements was for me to submit my financial statements and a number of other things. I remember at the time I didn't even have financial statements. I had to quickly get someone to help me put something together. And at the time, obviously, I thought I wasn't going to qualify because I hadn't really been making much, right? And I was wondering what they wanted to see, in the statements. But yeah, to my surprise, I was appointed. I was very small at the time. I think my turnover, with those statements that someone helped me, I think I was making like 300K or something like that. And my journey from then up until now, I can say we've now grown into being a QSE, right? So we well over 10 million from a revenue perspective. And this is in a space of about 3 years with Innovator Trust. So obviously we went in and we were taken under their wing, under the Enterprise Development Program. In the Enterprise Development Program, they were basically coaching us in terms of, presenting your business, the soft skills aspect of running a business, and also, presenting your company and your service offering to your potential clients, creating business plans, and, making pitches, and also being sort of funding or investor ready, type of trainings that, they gave us. So went through all of that. And up until I became, I graduated, like what she said, into being on the supplier development side of things. Under the supplier development, we also got some training, because now obviously you are at another level, right? So training around marketing and sales, how do you look at opportunities out there, and how do you go and find more, customers out there, so that you're not solely dependent on one client. Because what ends up happening with us SMEs, we get comfortable, right? You land this one big client, and you feel like you're getting some sustainability out of it, right? But that actually means that you're actually one decision away from closing your doors. So what they train us then is to always have always look ahead, what's next? Okay, this is what we're doing, but what is next, from a service offering perspective and from a prospective, client's perspective, right? So, which is one of the things that I'm doing here today is really I'm looking at my job in my company is to find the next big thing, right? So this is what Innovator Trust is training us to do. They're also obviously helping us around, the marketing. How do you market your business? How do you make sure that you are out there as well? Putting yourself out there as a company, being, visible online. And it's not just trainings, right? It's also supporting you in terms of getting those things in place. Right. So as an SMME, you do not necessarily, have a marketing budget, the budget to get your state of the art website. You usually don't have that that budget at your disposal. So this is where also Innovator Trust comes in. It doesn't just end at training. It's also supporting. Also from a compliance perspective, our industry, we build infrastructure, right? And there's a lot of, compliance as well around that when it comes to health and safety, and all of this needs to be always up to date. Your technicians always have to have certain certification that expires at a certain point in time. So you always have to have budgets to be able to do all of that, right? And then, people leave and then new people must be trained and all of that stuff. So Innovator Trust was also very instrumental in making sure that, they support us with that. And we are, I think, now at a point where they're sort of checking us out at the end of this year, because we are now at a point where we've grown, and I think they've seen that, we are now able to, sustain ourselves, with everything that they've helped us with, what they've empowered us with, the knowledge that they've imparted, the funding that has gone into our company. So we have to make space for the newcomers. But without the Innovator Trust, I can't even begin to imagine where we would be as a company, right? So ESDs are very important, and they play a very integral part in in a how can I put it, in the growth of an SMME. So yeah, take the opportunity to say thanks, Mandisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment, Ntabi? For anyone in the room that's wondering what happens to their ESD funds and ESD grants, the likes of Innovator Trust do that with your money. So yes, the perception is it's a tick box exercise, and it can seem that way and sometimes misunderstood to be that. But for us at the Innovator Trust, it's really about hearing that feedback. And nobody asked Mpumi to say, what did they give you? And how did that change your life? But that's just Mpumi's testimonial. Mpumi is a business owner with staff that feed families, that raise kids. So it also speaks to the communities. It speaks to so much more than ticking a box, and so much more than delivering on program deliverables. So thank you for sharing, Mpumi, and thank you for picking on her.
Thank you very much. It was very important to pick on Mpumi because we had a conversation earlier and she was just saying that she didn't qualify for one of the programs that we had because of the level that she is at. So this is very remarkable. It's very inspirational, Mpumi. We just had to pick on you. Today is also about celebrating the achievements of other women. So well done, Mpumi. You did say before I open up to the floor again that it's not a tick box exercise. What does the circle of transformation in your entities look like? So how do you take entities from start up until you check them out, like you're about to check out someone? How does that circle of transformation look like?
Okay. So, you know when you're using somebody else's phone and now this phone is doing its own thing. Where's my lights now? I just want to touch on why I've said that ESD seems like a tick box exercise. It's because, as many of us would know, that ESD is a critical component of our BBBE legislature. So by law, certain organizations have to kind of invest money in this and make sure that they reach certain thresholds and certain targets. And granted, there are companies that will give us money to make sure that they do that. However, we've been very fortunate to partner with stakeholders who share the same passion as Innovator Trust, where it's really about the people first and the businesses first before the profit. We love money. We love spending money, but it's about the people first. What the journey looks like, the transformation journey looks like then is we would have a business that is in the ICT sector. The Innovator Trust does have a specific criteria that you need to meet in order to qualify for the Hatch incubation program. So if you are an ICT business, you've been trading for at least 2 years, you're making a minimum turnover of 200,000 per year. Have your compliance docs in check. We find that compliance is a big challenge for SMMEs. And by compliance, we mean you are a registered business, you do have a bank account, you've got some kind of financials to show that you are making this revenue. You apply for the program and are willing to commit. It is quite a intense program. It's a 2-year incubation program that really requires your commitment to the deliverables and to really investing yourself and your energy and your staff into it. So you come onto the program, we do a first round of applications, we assess whether you've got all the docs in order, the compliance checks, and then we invite you for a presentation. You present your business to a group of panelists who will ask you some questions and then further score you. Should you be successful there, we then do a psychometric assessment. This we never used to do. We have been in the business for 10 years now. And we weren't doing psychometric assessments in the first year. I think it's only been about 4 years since we now do that. And it's just to gauge the level of investment that the business owner has on a program like Hatch, or on a program like Enterprise Development. You find a lot of businesses come to us looking for funding. Sometimes your business does not need funding, but you need mentorship, you need training, you need technical support. You could be given 2 million rand and you won't know what to do with it. You'll literally blow it, and then the next thing you and I blow it. What channels, you know? So we find a lot of businesses come to us with weird intentions, and their mind frame is not really where it needs to be for a program like ours because it's so intense and so vigorous. So you come onto the program, you complete your first year, where we look at things like the first block of our incubation program is we would look at what is your value proposition. Who's your target market? What are you selling? Who are you selling it to? Let's get you through a business model canvas where you yourself better understand your business. And once you better understand your business, you're in a better position to then actually work on the areas that need improvement in your business. Year one will see you through human resource training and mentorship, financial management, pitching to investors, staff training, compliance, and all those things, technical support. Do you even have a laptop that works? Do you have the necessary software? Do you have an accountant? So throughout our programs, we do require monthly management accounts from our SMEs, and that's just to ensure that their financials are in check should any potential investor or client of theirs require this from them. Long story short, by the time they leave our program, they understand the importance of financial management, tracking this on a monthly basis, paying SARS. Please pay SARS, because if you don't, becomes a problem. Keeping your compliance docs up to check, and make sure that they're valid at all times. And also them being in a position to now empower other SMEs. We've got beautiful stories where some of our alumni, both Enterprise Development and Supplier Development, actually network with one another and subcontract amongst themselves. So it ends up building a really impactful ecosystem. And we're all about championing that and just encouraging linkages that we don't benefit from. Like, we make no money from introducing K to Synergy, and then they make business, But that's what it's about. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Our approach is a little bit different. We do not necessarily approach SMEs directly, but we go to corporations that have the regulatory requirement to actually have ESD programs. And we help them by taking the pain away of actually running and implementing the actual ESD program. And we assist them in proper needs analysis of all those who are in the ESD program to make sure that we come up with a plan that is beneficiary specific. In most instances, and what I've seen is that people will come up with a plan that is sort of a blanket exercise. And company that is owned by Modise is totally different by the one that is owned by Mandisa. And you need to go into the actual company, do a needs analysis, looked at both their short-term and their long-term goals, and then we advise the sponsor on how they can actually help. As an example, at a company that has been recruited as an ED, we will then look at where are they? Is this a company that is a startup, or a company that has been in existence maybe for more than 3 years? I mean, the approach to development of these companies are actually different. And then we then go back to the sponsor, say, these are the needs of this particular company. This is what we think the interventions should be like. And this is what we can see going forward. And we also make sure that we actually assess the growth of this company. I cannot overemphasize the importance of compliance. That in going forward as SMEs, there's a need to be compliant at all times so that you don't fall out of track in terms of the benefits that comes with SMEs. And we also ask SMEs to actually look at opportunities that are outside of South Africa. We have actually assisted some of our SMEs to attend exhibitions outside of the country. The digital transformation that was happening last year in Zim. We've also sponsored some of the companies to actually do that. And we then make it easy that, BE committees that are sitting and are thinking, what is it that we can do better to actually develop at the SME is that it doesn't become, their nightmare. We make it easy for them and bring solutions which is in line with their strategy so that they can both be compliant, but they can actually see the actual results of these SMEs being developed. And in some instances, I've seen with a previous company that I was working for, we ended up partnering with the very same SMEs that we developed to actually execute on certain IT projects that we had with clients. And this is the ideal, situation that you would like to find yourself in, to have a plan that would, at the end of the day, actually also benefit you and, to the shareholders, that you can actually show the benefit on the bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comprehensive responses. We do have a few more minutes left. Any other questions for our panelists? Yes, Portia.
Hi, I'm actually interested to know what type of autonomy do the SMEs retain going through your program, going through the mentorship? and what is your stake normally, and what's the balance between the help and then driving that business through to be able to stand on its own and keep its IP, I think.
I'll give that question a shot. So at the Innovator Trust, we take no equity from the beneficiaries. The SME 100% owns their business from start to finish. So whoever your directors are, your owners are, that is your prerogative. We don't get involved there. Ours is just to provide you with the necessary support that you need. We also do conduct a needs analysis when you do join us, and we help you bridge those gaps. Even when you graduate from being an ED beneficiary to an SD beneficiary, you are 100% independent from us. Ours is just to support you with the gaps that you present. And obviously will slightly differ when you become a supplier development beneficiary, because now we're helping you bridge your gaps and also your client's gap, who is the sponsor for this program. So no stake at all, no equity, none of our beneficiaries pay a dime to be on our programs. And if ever they asked to, you should be worried. So I hope that answers your question.
Hi, everyone. I'm Khopoto Khaitebe. I am representing the youth. So my question is for us. How accessible are you to us? 50% of the global population is youth, and we're the highest unemployed in the country, and our country is at its peak when it comes to that. So what is it that you're doing for us young entrepreneurs and who are looking to grow within the ICT space, whether through social entrepreneurship or normal entrepreneurship? Thank you.
Ask that we make our response 1 minute or less, please. So sad.
I'm going to try and keep it under a minute. I love your question. Believe it or not, I'm a youth myself. So Kinewe over here is my colleague, and she runs she runs our youth programs. We have a startup program, which is similar to our Hatch incubation program, but targeted to young entrepreneurs who've been trading for about a year, and obviously making a lot less than the more mature SMEs. So you can have a chat to her about what that looks like and how you could benefit from that. That's one thing. Then we run our youth entrepreneurship program, where we recruit youth with matric certificates and no higher education than that. We put them on an entrepreneurship program that lasts for 12 months. 6 months or 8 months is mostly training. We do coding, financial management, soft skills, etc. And then we also try our utmost best to place them on internships. So we place them on internships with our SMEs. We do pay the stipend, and some of our SMEs top up on that, which is great. And the purpose of those internships is to give the youth work exposure, because we understand that especially previously disadvantaged youth don't have formal work experience. And how are you meant to find a job if you don't have work experience at all? So part of that is we put them on an internship program, and Bumi has hosted some of them. We put you on an internship program, and after the internship program, you can then decide whether you want to continue on your entrepreneurship journey. You do want to start your business. We do give you that opportunity and that support as well. Or you want to get into formal work, space and kind of find a job. We've also had some great stories where our SMEs actually, what is what I'm looking for? Absorb our interns and give them permanent employment. So we are addressing that. We also have lots of campaigns online that speak to youth development, lots of free webinars and sessions that you can join, which we see as upskilling, training and mentorship. But yes, we have a startup program which is aimed at the youth, and we have our youth entrepreneurship program.
Thank you very much. I think we go on. You can come through in the meantime. I just want to say thank you to our panelists, and I'm hoping that the information that was shared will be utilized. There's SMEs that are graduating out, so there's money that must be allocated to somebody else. But essentially, this is the type of conversation we should actually be able to source and ask for from some of our biggest corporates. There's money that's sitting specifically for this work. In certain instances, it goes unspent because we're not pushing hard enough, or we don't have people that are like Mandisa that are as supportive to enable us to actually get those funds. But ESD funds are there, and wherever you are a supplier, once you get into the door, you should actually be asking them that particular question. What ESD programs do they have? What type of support do they offer to their, SMME and EME suppliers?